And with me I have a very special co-presenter with Kamisha Thomas, and she is our Youth of the Year. And I would like to make this very, very informal. As you see, we have no PowerPoint. If I can steal a line from Tom Thibodeau, because we have no power and we have no point. But at any rate, listening to what went on this morning, I think that you'll see that it will reinforce a lot of the things that maybe you heard already, but maybe put some more perspective on it on a personal level. As you know, the Boys and Girls Club, it isn't, okay, here's these school district kids and then here's these Boys and Girls Club, the same kids. The same issues that they're coming to the schools with every day, they're walking into our clubs with right afterwards. And we've done a lot of work to try to connect us with you as best we can. And I'll get into more of that as to what we have found out that works, and we titled this thing The Formula for Impact. Don't all of us kind of wonder sometimes if what we're doing works, if we're having an impact on kids. And Boys and Girls Club of America has done a lot of research in that area, and they've come up with what they call this big formula for impact. And I won't, like I said, I won't show you all of it because I don't even read all of it myself. But there is a very, very important part of that I think will reinforce what you heard already this morning. How many of you have ever been in one of our clubs around the Crosse area? Oh, that's awesome. We have 7 sites. I don't know if you're aware of that. 5 of them are in the city of La Crosse. Our main site on the north side is the Erickson Club, which you see is going through a $7 million renovation and addition. It's going to absolutely be awesome. We're adding a 750. Hi, Connie. Don't you like that one? Yeah. Anyhow, 750 square foot teen center be built solely for our teen population, which is growing. We added a new gym just for teens because they're often displaced as more and more kids come into the club. We converted some old locker rooms into, we have what we call a fine arts center. We have a dance studio in there, we have a music practice room, and we have a recording studio in there, which are things we've had at the Matthew Club for a few years now. So we think it's going to be, we literally had teens in a room that was probably half this size, and one day last fall we had 100 show up at the club. If you imagine 100 teens in a room that's half this size, that's trouble. That's trouble. And so we felt the need to expand, and as we felt the need, we've grown in our average daily attendance almost 50% over the last 3 years. We serve almost 700 kids a day that come into our clubs. And when you think about it, we're celebrating our 50th year as an organization. It started in a factory by 24 businessmen in La Crosse who said, we've got to find a place for these bad north side boys to go after school. That's exactly how it started. And so they called it the Boys Club, and they rented this factory on the north side, and 12 kids showed up. Wouldn't those forefathers be proud today? That happened in 1966. Wouldn't they be proud today to see that the Boys and Girls Club is 7 sites and 700 kids a day that come here after they leave their schools? I think that is absolutely awesome. Our Matthew Center is our main site on the south side of La Crosse, right on 8th Street. That is still the only Boys and Girls Club in the entire nation that's located on a college campus. It's a model that's being used by Boys and Girls Club of America nationwide. Say, hey, you should try this. This thing is really working well. It certainly gives us a space in a neighborhood that needs a presence. But the coolest thing too is we have a built-in workforce at Viterbo. We hire a lot of Viterbo students who are education majors, psych majors, social work, those kinds of things. We get interns from Viterbo, and with their servant leadership component that they have, a lot of volunteers come in there and do their field work, and they work with some pretty high-risk kids, and that's, I think, a pretty good thing for them. We're also in Hamilton School. Well, Steve's here or not, but that's been a great partnership. We're also in Northside Elementary School. Isn't it interesting what you do when you build a new school? The minute you build the school, and the minute we moved in there, and we only have kindergarten, first, second graders up there, we went from 50 kindergarten, first, second graders in the north side to over 100 a day. It's the day we opened in that, we're able to use space in that school up there. We also have a small club in the Shoe Homes, the low-income housing area on the north side. And then we have 2 sites in West Salem as well. So at any rate, that's kind of the basics for that. What I'd like to do is obviously keep this very informal, and if you have questions along the way, please ask. We'll talk a little bit about what we do at the club and how we can work together. But before we do that, I really would like to introduce Kamisha to you. Many of you know Kamisha. I got to know her several years ago, and this past year, our staff got together and we picked a Youth of the Year for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater La Crosse. And quite honestly, there really wasn't much discussion this year because of what we've seen this young lady do, the circumstances that she's come from, what she has overcome, and what a great leader and person she has become since then. I mean, so good, we hired her at the Boys and Girls Club when she still was in high school up at Logan, because she serves as a great role model and mentor to younger kids at the club. So once she's selected by us, then she competes in a state competition against all the Boys and Girls Club Youths of the Year throughout the state. And I think there were 20 of them this year or something like that, Misha. And it's pretty rigorous. She has to write a series of essays, and she has to fill this application out, and she goes to Madison, and there's a group of people who judge them on their essay, their backgrounds, and then I think one of the toughest parts is they interview them, and a pretty tough interview, and Kamisha hit a home run. Kamisha hit a home run, and she was selected as the State of Wisconsin Youth of the Year. And I wish those of you who know Kamisha, who've coached her or had her in class, I wish you could have been there that day when she delivered her speech. I mean, it brought tears to all of us at the Boys and Girls Club, listening to her and feeling that sense of pride that this girl has made it. And some of you as her former teachers and coaches, I think you would have felt that. I wish you could have been there for it because it was absolutely amazing. So without any more introduction, let me introduce Wisconsin State Youth of the Year. That's like winning a state championship, which she's done that too. Kamisha Thomas.
I was going to sit, if that is okay with you guys. Well, I am Kamisha Thomas. I graduated from Logan High, and I come from a single-parent household of 5 kids. I am the second oldest. And it's been hard because my mom struggled with depression when I was younger for most of my life. Like she still is, but it's not as bad now. So we moved back and forth from Chicago to La Crosse, and it wasn't until 4th grade that we stayed in La Crosse, and I got registered to the Boys and Girls Club, where I started playing sports, and that's when I first met like a connection with the coaches. She knew what was going on, but I didn't have to tell her, because at the time, what happens in the family stays in the family, and so you just don't let your business out there. So I never directly told her what was happening, but she always like had the feeling. So she would come drop off food, pick me up for practices or games, or we would have slumber parties, and it was fun. And as I got older, I didn't really have connections because I was taught that no one is really there for you, that they're always trying to use you because that's what happens in Chicago. Like, they want you for something, and once they get it, then they're gone. So I always had my guard up, but the teachers and the coaches were always there. In middle school was a tough year, but my principal, Troy Hartsey was my principal at the time, and he always had a quote at the end of the daily sayings that was, "Tomorrow's success begins today." And I took that to heart, and it really changed how I started looking at things. And it wasn't until high school where I really, really felt the connection with the teachers and the coaches and just everyone, my friends' parents, and like, it was just amazing. But I still didn't show it to them because I held my guard up, and it was so like track was my first sport that I felt my connection with. I ran with some of the girls in middle school, so I had an aunt, and then I had an older sister, and my track coach already knew what was kind of happening in my life because like my older sister told us some of the stuff because like we didn't have some of the track things that we needed, and my track friends were there to help and support me. And so like the coach was amazing there with like in track you have more than one coach. You have like the jumpings coach, the hurdle coach, the sprinting coach. It's like a lot of coaches. And so like there was a lot of connections, so that was really amazing. And my sophomore year, I moved away for a semester, just out of nowhere, just packed up and left with my cousin in South Dakota, just me and her dad. The rest of my family stayed back, and I think I did this because I felt like I didn't really like have anything to tie me down at Logan. So it's like, oh well, I'll just go spread my wings somewhere else. But it wasn't until I was gone that I realized that I made a huge mistake. Like, why did I leave? I had all my friends there, all my support was there. And when I came back, I thought that I would be shunned, like, well, you left us, so why do we want you now? But that's not what happened. They opened, like, they had their arms open for me, and they welcomed me back like I never left. It was literally like another family. And junior year is the year where I decided to play football, and it was a good 2 weeks, and I tore my ACL. And I think I blame my jumpings coach because he's the football coach too, and I guess I had a really strong connection. I was like, yeah, since you're my jumpings coach and we're friends, I'd just come play football for you too. And he didn't turn me away, which I blame he should have turned me away. And it was in practice. Out of all the things, like it wasn't even in the game. I couldn't be like, yeah, tore my ACL in the game. No, it was in practice. They caught me, and it was. I made other connections with that. I made connections with the guys on the sidelines and just like cheering them up and crutching around and got a good workout in. And I had to stay in the athletic room for a while because I had to do my rehab, and made a really good connection with Sue. She's our athletic trainer, and she makes really good food. So if you ever are in there, try to get some of her food because it's really good, especially the mac and cheese. And then with the physical therapist I had, which I now want to become a physical therapist because of him. He helped me to like push myself, and I want to try to push others to see like what they can become too. And I still see him around today. We still talk and everything, and like the connection just didn't end when I got done with physical therapy. It's still going. And then my junior year, my family became homeless for one of the millionth time, but this time I actually had other people that I could talk to and open up to, because like I realized that if I want to like change what's happening, then I have to admit that I need help. And the Boys and Girls Club was there for me. There was a staff there that opened up his home for me and my brother, and we lived with him. I still live with him, and my brother still goes back and forth between his house and my mom's, but he's still welcome there. But well, now I'm in UWL. I moved in to the dorm, so I kind of don't live with them anymore. But anyway. So they've been there for me. They still are there. I live with them. I go to like their family's house and eat all their food every day. Just like the coaches and the teachers might not even know like how much of an impact they had on me, but they did. Like I can name off so many teachers, but it might take like all day. So I would just go by like departments. Like, well, the resource center helped me with like scholarships, and then I had like the English department that I could help with just speeches, but it wasn't like just speeches, just like life in general, or just there was just so many people, like the computer science people, the like I'm not even in drama, but like I knew some of the drama like people, like the teachers or the band teachers, since I was there for 4 years, they kind of had to deal with me, and the foreign department just goes on and on. Like it was just like the simplest things they did, like, oh, how's your day today? Oh, it's good, and but like you always say it's good, and you just gotta dig deep. Like, okay, well, really, what happened is, but like you guys probably have one of the toughest jobs. You have to deal with our attitudes, our overwhelmingly good smells, and then the really, really bad smells. And then let's not forget about the cell phones that we always put in the basket, but they're really in our pockets. But it's just so many things that you guys could be doing, but instead you choose to wake up every morning and come and teach us things that we say we don't want to be taught, but it works. And I just want to say thank you for taking your career and helping us, because you guys really do matter, and you change kids' lives like you changed mine. So thanks.
So again, I have some concluding comments of how we can work together on some things, but does anybody have any questions for Kamisha? I have the first one. She forgot to tell you about the tutoring opportunities that exist at the Boys and Girls Club. You want to tell the story about the Parabula story, Kamisha?
I'm not sure if it's really called tutoring if they don't really help you, or like, in other words. I had a math question. Well, I had a bunch of them, but we were always like, I was the first one for a good 2 hours, and I ended up getting it wrong anyway. It was parabola, so I went there because I heard he was top dog when it comes to math. So I'm like, Mike, can you help me? And he said, of course I can. And he couldn't. So we lied. 2 hours later, he still didn't have the right answer. So don't go to him.
I made the mistake of bragging that I was a pretty good math, in the teen center one day, I was a pretty good math student in high school and stuff. And so then she comes to me and I said, I guess I missed the day when they did parabolas, because I don't have a clue. But we did work at it, and then I said, why don't you just go back tomorrow and ask your math teacher where we went wrong, because it was in 2 hours on one question. Then we got it wrong anyway. So, anyhow, we tried. Anybody have any questions for Alicia? Certainly open to those.
It sounds like you guys are at least on the north side doing an integrative teen center with, am I correct, with like a social worker this year, or something with the community or county coming in? Mental health, behavioral health?
Yeah, we I can get into this. We hired in November a behavioral health specialist, a young lady graduated from Viterbo with a master's in counseling and so forth. And this is something we've been working on for 2 to 3 years. And the reason for it is because we're seeing, again, it fits in with what we're talking about. We see so many kids that come into our club that have dealt with trauma. You know that ACEs, have you ever looked at that ACEs thing? It's like 10 questions or 10 things. I was telling Jason Wick from the county today, Two? We have kids, I would say, our average kid comes in could check 5 to 7 of those. I know kids that could check all 10 of them. And we have a relationship, we're working with school social workers, and we're working with county social workers, kids who are already in the system, either because of Child Protective Services or juvenile justice. And they go through some programs down there. And then they call us because they want those kids to have a safe place to go, not just hang out. And there's the sad part. I got a call from the county one day and they wanted us to take a kid who had gone through this core academy. And we'd had experience with him. They said to me, "You're the only place that will take these kids anymore." And I thought, that's it. You don't throw away kids. Kids make mistakes and they do some really stupid things and you don't throw them away. And so if we're going to take these kids in every day and try to be part of the solution, I felt we needed a professional in the building. And so we hired our first one in November. It was a collaboration between Mayo, Ronald McDonald House Charities, and the county. And she's doing just absolutely a wonderful job. Now, she spends most of her time on the south side of the Matthew Club. So I just pitter-pattered back over to Mayo and I said, we need another one. And we just had that one approved and we're working through the details of hiring another mental health professional to serve our north side club. And they are technically a Mayo employee that's assigned full-time to the Boys and Girls Club. And it's unbelievable, the difference that she makes. We had a kid, and I got like thousands of stories, so if you get sick of them. But a kid, she's 14 years old, and she lived in a home where there was a lot of abuse. Mom drank a lot, her boyfriend drank a lot. When they both drank a lot, there'd be a fight. Boyfriend would beat up mom. This girl tried to intervene once, and she got coke-ocked, knocked out cold, concussion, took her to the hospital, guy's arrested. Now she's got to go back to that house. And she's scared to death. She doesn't want to go home. So we took her into our home for 3 months until this court thing could be settled to see what was going to happen at home. And she lived with us. And the first day that we had this, our mental health person is called Laquita. Her name is Laquita Becker. She's awesome. She says to me, "Who's that new staff person?" And I said, her name is Laquita. What's she doing here? You talk about garden. What's she doing here? I said, well, she's just new staff. Is she one of them counselors? And I said, well, she's just here to support kids that might be struggling with some things and so forth. And she said, this is a quote, "I ain't going to no counselor." If we went over there this afternoon, you would see them hand in hand or arm in arm. They talk every single day. She just needs somebody to support her and some of her decisions and moving forward and so forth, because she doesn't always get that support at home. So I'm very concerned about the mental health of our youth. Very concerned. And as long as we're on the topic, I'll tell you this story. I have a daughter that is bipolar. And it's been a very difficult run for us, for our whole family. And she really, really struggled in school. And I do a fair amount of speaking about mental health, mental illness around the community and so forth. And on occasion I will bring her along, especially if I'm speaking to teachers. Because she's got a real powerful message for teachers. I mean, she was the kid you wouldn't want her, unmotivated in class, defiant of authority, everything. The kid you wouldn't want in class. And she will tell you, she'll name the teachers that she loved. And if you look at her grades, she got A's in those classes. And she struggled in the ones where she didn't like the teacher. When I say like the teacher, not like the teacher, here's what it was. People knew she had a bad attitude. They didn't really know exactly what was going on in terms of her whole mental condition. We didn't share that a lot. But the teachers that paid attention to her as a person, she worked her tail off for. The ones that said, Katie, how's it going today? And when she came into that classroom in one of her down phases, they could sense it. They put their arm around her and say, how are you doing today? Can I help you? Can I do anything for you? She knocked those classes dead. The teachers that tried to slam curriculum down their throat, she got D's and F's. You know why? Because she's sitting in that room and she could care less about math. She is more, what's going on in her head is this depression and this anxiety that she's dealt with every day. And so you could be and I'm picking on math for no reason. Maybe because of parabolas. Huh? Damn parabolas. Well, they're kind of semicircles, right? Okay. Anyhow, back to the point. You could be the best math teacher in the world, and my daughter would not have learned in your class. She had issues way beyond solving a math problem. Imagine this. A doctor explained it to me this way. Her anxiety level is like off the charts. So, you ever see those expandable things that are like this, and then you can pull them out to like here? She said, here's what your daughter's going through. Here's the normal person. We have this expandable, and then something happens in our lives, and it could be very small, and our anxiety level's out to here. Your daughter starts here. When she wakes up in the morning, she's already here, so anything that happens to her, she's out here in a heartbeat. How would you like to deal with every day like that? And then you're going to teach her parabolas? There's no way. But what were the teachers that got to her, who were they? She'll tell you who they were. The ones that put their arm around her every day and said, Katie, how are you doing? How can I help? Doesn't that kind of fit in with our message that we got this morning? That is so much more important than what you teach, is developing that relationship with kids. I saw it in my own family. How many times did Kamisha mention the word connection when she talked today? I connected with this person, I connected with this person, I connected with this person. Do you know, statistically, Kamisha should be in jail, or pregnant, or dead, or a drug addict, statistically. And look what a beautiful young woman she is, because of people in her life. Which kind of leads, I guess, to this whole thing, what this whole talk was supposed to be about, which was this formula for impact. Boys and Girls Club did this research in a big, huge document. How do you know at the Boys and Girls Club if you're making a difference? This applies to schools too. But how do you know that what you're doing at the Boys and Girls Club makes a difference? Big, long thing. But you can pull one thing out of it, and that's all you need to know. And that's this. All youth, low risk or high risk, doesn't matter. All youth, but particularly high risk youth, need a meaningful relationship in their life. All the research pointed to that. that as soon as you can take a kid who's at risk because of any of the circumstances that are going on in their life, and you can connect them with another human being, a positive human being, and they can begin to develop a meaningful relationship, these risk factors go down like this. The graph goes down like this. And we see that at the Boys and Girls Club with kids who would be labeled at risk by the county because they come in with some behavioral issues. And as soon as we can get them connected with a healthy, young adult role model, those behavioral issues go away almost instantly. Almost instantly. And that goes right with what was said today too. We have programs in academics. We have homework help, we have tutoring, we have reading and math online programs. We have school district apps on our computer at the club so they can do stuff that they've done at school. They can do that on computers at the club, all this kind of stuff. We have character leadership programs where we have mentoring and we have a leadership program and a service program and all this kind of stuff. And we have a healthy lifestyles program where we feed kids and we get them exercising, all this. All of that's terrific. Just like your curriculum is terrific. But none of it works until we make that connection first. None of it works. And so we hire a lot of college kids. About 75, 80 college kids work at our clubs from UWL, Terrible primarily. We tell them that they have one job qualification. This is the only thing you need to know how to do. I don't care about what your major is. I don't care about what your grade point average is. I don't care about any of that. I care about one thing. When you walk in our doors, you come in with a mindset, I'm going to make the difference in the life of a kid today. Because in reality, they do. They hang on. They hang on. And our goal is that 100% of the kids that walk through our doors at 3 o'clock feel connected to somebody at the club. Somebody. Let me tell you my favorite story, because this involved me. There's a girl, she's in their school system, she'll be a sophomore. I first met her when she was 11 years old. She was the most incorrigible, bratty, disrespectful, obnoxious. Think of all the bad terms. Sarah, you know what I'm talking about. Was she, every bad term you could think of a girl's, was she that?
Very sassy.
Sassy, yes. Very politically correct, Sarah, the school district stole one of our best employees ever, Sarah Brado. I'll tell you that right now. Yes, she did. Anyhow, she was awful, and our staff did not know what to do with her. They tried everything, and nothing worked, and all this kind of stuff. So then they came, Mike, you got to do something with her. So I said, have her come in and talk to me. Well, that's like getting sent to the principal's office. So she comes in, and I swear to God, I got a round table in my office, and we sat there. And before I could even get out a word, she leaned over and got in my face and said, I hate this place, and I hate everybody in it. And leans back and folds her arms like, what are you going to do about that? And I sat there and I go, really? Everybody? She said, yep, everybody. I hate this place. I hate everybody in it. Now keep in mind, she was coming there every day on her own choice. So you hate something that bad, you know. But anyhow, so I said, well, let's just call her Michelle for right now, I said, Michelle, you can't hate everybody. Yeah, I do. I said, well, you can't hate me, you don't even know me. She said, and leaned over and she says, yeah, I hate you too. And I said, oh, come on. I haven't done anything to you. But you're going to. I go, who said that? I just know, you're going to. So then I went down our entire female staff. And I said, like, what about Sarah? No, I hate her. I hate her too. What about Mary? I hate her guts. What about Nicole? And all of a sudden there was a pause. And then she said, well, I guess I don't hate her, but I don't like her. And I said, but you don't hate her. And she said, I guess not. So I went through the whole staff. I found 2 girls she didn't hate. She made it very clear she didn't like them, but she didn't hate them. So I'm thinking, okay, we got our in, right? So these 2 young college girls were going to be part of the plan. They were going to be the connection. And I met with those 2 girls later, and I said, here's the scoop. For some reason, you've made a connection, albeit small, you've made a connection with her. And I want you to take this girl every single day when she walks in our club. I want you to greet her and take her under your wings. And it isn't going to be easy because she's going to push you away. But don't give up. Well, that connection just grew and grew and grew, and these girls took her shopping. And one day I remember they taking her to the Mall of America and all this kind of stuff. And she became so tight with those girls, it was unbelievable. And guess what happened to her? All her nastiness, it began to go down and down and down and down. Because maybe for the first time, she felt safe, she felt loved, she felt cared for. The second part of that discussion was I wanted to find out what her story was. So I asked her. You know it as an 11-year-old girl, she had never known a home. She's been homeless as long as she's been alive. She's bounced around from scummy apartment to scummy apartment to Salvation Army to county puts them up in this terrible hotel on the north side. Then they get kicked out of there. And that was her life. And so it became very, very obvious to me, we got a really angry girl here. Well, she's not mad at me. And she's not even mad at our staff. She's just angry about her life, the situation she's living in. And we just happened to be in her way at the time. And so I met with our staff and I told them that. I said, no, we can't tolerate disrespect and swearing and all that kind of stuff. I'm not asking you to do that. But I do want you to know her story so that maybe you understand and can be a little bit more compassionate that that's the baggage she's bringing in every day with her. 6 months to the day of when her and I had that first conversation, I had her speak at one of our biggest fundraising events. 250 of our best donors are there. And I'm not quite sure what's going to come out of her mouth. I'm hoping it's good. And she got up there as now a 12-year-old and spoke to 250 adults and said, thank you. Because of these 2 girls and the connections I have made at the Boys and Girls Club, where I feel loved, I feel cared for. I mean, this is a tough girl. And she started sobbing as she was saying this. She goes, they've saved my life. And I want to thank you. And she told them as donors. And I mean, our donors are sitting there crying. 6 months after that fateful first day, she hated everyone. Now, she's not going to worry, I don't think we have to worry about, she's not wearing a halo yet. And those of you that don't know, she still struggles. But she deals with the world in such a different way now. I mean, her life situation hasn't changed much. And she's changing. She called me last week. Mike, what are you doing? Just sitting there, waiting for you to call, Michelle. She says, can you meet me on the north side? I need to talk with you. And so I did, I met her. And it was nothing catastrophic. It was typical, I shouldn't say this, but it was kind of girl fighting. I text this girl, she would text me back, she must be mad at me, I'm not talking to her anymore, that kind of thing. Then now they don't look at each other anymore, whatever. And she didn't know what to do about it. She wants to be friends with this girl, but it's just not working and all this kind of stuff. So we sat, we talked about what we should do next. What should be the next step? And I don't know if that'll work out or not, but do you know 3 years ago, I know exactly what she would have done. She'd have punched the girl in the face. Some teacher would have intervened, sent her, she would have got whatever discipline you get for punching somebody in the face at school. She would have sworn at the teacher because the teacher's disciplining her, and things would have ended terribly. That's what she would have done. That was her path. So I thought it was really cool, even though we don't have any magical solutions how you stop these girl fighting problems, but the fact that she was looking for a solution other than distracting somebody and swearing at teachers when they tried to discipline her. That's progress. That's progress. So, if anybody wants to know what we do at the Boys and Girls Club, that's our main objective. That every kid walks in our class, we have a connection with. We form a connection. And try to be a support system for them that complements the support system that they're getting in school. You know what the one thing that really ticks me off? At-risk kids are bad kids. Oh, that makes me mad. Here's an at-risk youth. She's not so bad, is she? You know what you see? When you take a kid that's really struggling and you just give them some care and love and support, you see the goodness just ooze right out of them. The badness is the result that they're unhappy and they're angry and they don't know what to do. And therefore, I think we all have a responsibility to make that connection. Let me just finish. I suppose we're almost out of time. Let me just finish one story. 11:17. Are we supposed to be done by now? What's that? 11:30. Okay. So I often talk about this. Like I would like to be this great scholarly theologian that could quote scripture. Because I grew up in Catholic schools. But anyhow, I can't do that. But I'm really good at quoting God in movies. My two favorites are the movie Oh God and Bruce Almighty. I bet you I've seen both of them 100 times. But think about the message in there. Anybody see Oh God? Are you guys old enough to see Oh God? There you are. So George Burns is this comedian, he plays God. John Denver is this poor soul on earth. And he doesn't have a clue. God appears to him and says, I'm God, I want you to spread the word that God is alive. John Denver wasn't a religious guy, a spiritual guy, anything like that, so he doesn't have a clue. First of all, he doesn't even believe this guy is really God. And then George Burns starts performing some silly miracles. And now John Denver begins to say, hey, geez, maybe this guy really is God. Maybe I should have listened to him. And he begins to tell people that he's talked with God. Well, everybody starts thinking he's crazy. But he withstands that scrutiny and he keeps pushing forward. He says, I talked to God. Well, what did God tell you to tell us? Well, God said he's alive. And he's present in our lives and all this kind of stuff. But during that movie, there's a particular scene that I think applies to all of us. The work with youth. And we start thinking of some of the stuff these kids bring to school with them. John Denver asked God this question: why do you allow all the suffering in the world? And God says, why do I allow all the suffering? Why do you allow all the suffering in the world? It's your choice whether you want to do something about it. You have the power to do that. You people, I taught for 28 years. I get it. You get bogged down with curriculum, and you get bogged down with grades, and you get bogged down with Common Core, and I don't want to get into that. You get bogged down with all of that. But we have the power to change lives. And that was the message of that movie. We here have the power to change lives. Then in Bruce Almighty, Morgan Freeman plays God, and Jim Carrey plays the guy on Earth, and Morgan Freeman gives him all his powers. And let's just say Jim Carrey doesn't make the best use of those powers, except with his girlfriend, which was Jennifer Aniston. Remember that scene? Anyhow, let's just say that Jim Carrey uses all of God's powers for his own self-gratification. He has a new job, Jennifer Aniston looks better, all this kind of stuff. It's all for him. He uses all these godly powers to benefit himself. But he finds out that doesn't make him happy. In fact, it begins to destroy his life. And then he's got to answer all these prayers. And he gets totally frustrated with all these people praying all the time for God to do this for them, God do that for them. So he goes back to Morgan Freeman and he said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be God. It's too much work. And Morgan Freeman delivers the line of the whole movie. He said, that's what's wrong with you people. You expect me to do everything for you. You want to see a miracle? Be the miracle. That's my challenge to you, teachers. You have the power to be the miracle in some kids' life. You were the miracle in Kamisha's life. And all you did was say, Kamisha, how are you doing today? Or how can I help? Or pretend you know something about math and you're clueless. That's all it takes. So, anyhow, thank you for being so patient and listening to us today. It's a lot of, when I sat in there, I thought, wow, this is really all we're going to talk about here. It's all about can we develop meaningful relationships with kids. Here's evidence of what happens. My daughter is evidence that the most meaningful teachers in her life are the ones that cared about her as a person, not as just a student. And you have the power to change all this. So, thanks very much. Any follow-up questions or thoughts or anything like that? The biggest thing we're working on with the school district right now is this release form, because there's so many opportunities. Kids come into the club, hey, you got homework today? Nah, I got it done all in school. Right? Well, we know they didn't get it all done in school, but we have no way to get to their grades. So we're creating this universal release form so that we can work with teachers, so we know what kids are coming into our clubs that are struggling academically, that we can get college kids to help them, not me with Brad, college kids, educated people, to help them with their homework and get them caught up in your classes. And the only way we can do it is if you and I can communicate with each other. So that's our challenge, and we are about that close, I think, aren't we, Connie, to getting that universal release form. So, thank you.